Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So today's video is a recipe video. I'm sharing just a few things that I've been making for the kids lately. If you guys are new here, first of all, welcome. My name is Kayla and I'm a mom of two. I have a 9-month-old baby boy named Jackson and I have a 2.5-year-old toddler named Riley. Jackson's at the point now where we've been giving him like some finger foods for the last like 2 or so months. So we're doing a little bit of baby-led weaning and some combo feeding. So one of the things that I've had to do lately is just try to find super easy recipes to make for both of the kids. So everything that I'm going to share with you guys is literally just super easy to make. I'm notorious if you guys watch my channel for burning things and just not being the best in the kitchen. So everything that I've made is super simple and I'm just going to show you step by step how I make it. So that's it. We're going to hop straight into the video. I am going to leave linked down in the description box a couple other videos like that I've made in the past here on my channel. Videos like what my baby eats in a day, what my toddler eats in a day, in case you guys need some more ideas. But I hope that this video helps. And if you do enjoy it, make sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you're new, and now let's just get into the recipes. Okay, so the very first recipe we're going to start off with is the sweet potato mash that I've been making Jackson nonstop. So all I'm going to do is boil a little bit of water, and then this time around I just used 2 like medium-sized sweet potatoes. I rinse them off and then I peel them, and then once they're peeled, all I'm going to do is just chop them up into smaller pieces. That way when I throw them in the water and they boil, it's just smaller little pieces that I end up putting in the blender. You're throwing these in boiling water just to make them a little softer, because you can't put this giant chunk of sweet potato in the blender and expect for it to get nice and creamy. So I just throw it in the water and I cover it and I boil it just for like 15 minutes or so just to make it soft. And then after those 15 minutes are done, I just drain the water. I imagine that you could leave a little bit of water, like if you wanted to make it easier to blend in the blender, but I kind of get rid of most of the water. And then like you can see here, like they're very easy to mash at this point because they're nice and tender, but I do want to just blend it so that way it's like not even that thick of a texture. So this is the baby bullet that I had. I've had it for the longest time. It was actually a gift that I got in like Riley's baby shower, and I just never used it because I never used to make Riley baby food. But in here, all I'm going to throw in is just a little bit of olive oil. I just use that because it's like a nice good fat for him. So I just throw in some olive oil and then a little bit of the ground flaxseed that I've been throwing in like his baby cereal and all of that. I did end up having to add a little bit extra water in here because when I tried to blend it in this baby bullet, it ended up just being a little bit too thick and it just wasn't blending how I wanted it to. Again, you don't need a special fancy like baby blender. You can definitely just use your regular blender where you make smoothies and stuff. But this one, since I had it, I just figured I would give it a shot. So here you can see I'm having a hard time blending it. So I added a little bit of water and I made it a little bit more liquidy, and then that's really it. I just pour it into a container. It still has enough texture that it's not just like a liquid puree. So I really like this sweet potato mash. Jackson loves it. He goes to town eating this all the time. So now we're going to move on to the applesauce that I make for Jackson, or apple puree, whatever you want to call it. I do the exact same thing that I did with the potatoes, where I boil some water and then I grabbed 3 little Granny Smith apples. I use those just because I like those better, but you can use red apples, whatever you have on hand. And then I'm just rinsing them off here before I start to peel them. And then again, I'm just chopping them up into smaller pieces before I throw them in the boiling water. This is seriously the easiest thing of life, you guys. And like looking back now, I'm like, why didn't I make this kind of stuff for Riley? Because seriously, what I'm doing right here, chopping up apples and pouring them into boiling water and then pureeing them, it doesn't get any easier than that. So if you're intimidated by the thought of like making your little one some baby food, I definitely recommend you just give it a shot. Try out a few recipes. These are as simple as they get. So if I can do it, I promise you that you guys can do it too. So these apples actually blended a lot easier than the sweet potato mash. So I don't even think I had to add a lot of extra water here. I just blended them, and then the same thing, I opened up a container and poured them straight from there into the container. With pretty much everything that I'm showing you guys in today's video, I try to keep it in the fridge and then just go through it within 3 days. I don't like to leave it in there for longer than that. So we try to go through it rather quickly. That way it doesn't get bad. And that is it, you guys. I promise you that you can make this. So next up, we're going to make some baked oatmeal that Jackson has been loving. All right, I have a little helper here today. She's going to help me make some oatmeal, some baked oatmeal. I say baked oatmeal.
Baked oatmeal.
Awesome.
What is it?
It's a whisk.
Whisk?
Yes.
To stir. Oh, oatmeal? Okay, Mom. I'm going this one to milk. Milk? Mama, what do you mean?
I'm getting all the things.
Crap? What is it?
We're going to make yummy things.
Oatmeal.
So what you're going to need for this is 1 teaspoon of baking powder, 2 cups of whole milk, but this is what I had in the fridge, so this is what I used, 1 egg, some melted butter, and then 2 cups of rolled oats. So I'm taking 1 tablespoon of butter, and I'm just sticking it in a little bowl so I can throw it in the microwave and just get it so that it's nice and melted. After that, I'm just going to throw 2 cups of these Quaker oats into the bowl because this is a bowl where I'm going to mix everything in. Then I'm taking the 1 teaspoon of baking powder, and just fun fact, baking powder is not the same as baking soda. I made that mistake once and I will never do it again. Then I'm adding the melted butter, the milk. Now we got to crack an egg.
Crack an egg, won't you? Let's see. Okay, now mix it.
So yeah, so once all the ingredients are in there, all you have to do is mix everything up, and then you transfer this to some kind of like a baking pan or baking sheet or whatever you want to call it. I use just some like olive oil pan that I have so that it doesn't stick to the pan. Okay, you're gonna help me pour it. Here, hold on to it. So this is what it looks like, and then all you're going to do is transfer it to the oven, which you're supposed to heat to 400 degrees. I forgot to tell you that at the beginning. And then you're going to leave it in there for about 35 minutes. This has been one of our favorite recipes that we've gotten from the baby feeding book, which I'll leave linked down in the description box. It's the best book that I have used so far in terms of baby-led weaning, and this is what the final result looks like. I'm going to let this cool for a little while, and then all I do is just cut this up into like little bars, which makes it easier for Jackson to feed this to himself. Like if I just want to feed him solids and I don't want him to make a mess with the actual like oatmeal cereal that I make him, that can be a little bit messier. This has been just a perfect finger food for both him and for Riley too. I have given this to Riley, and other things that you can do with this kind of oatmeal bar. You can throw in like different fruits in here. So I've made it one time before with blueberries, and that's tasted really good. It's not super flavorful, I will tell you that. Oh, and look, hello Joseph Buell. He thinks he's hilarious. What I will tell you is that it's not super flavorful because it is meant for babies that are just starting to eat solids. But this has been perfect for Jackson, exactly what I need, something that I can make super quick, and it's just a really clean recipe. All right, so next up are the blender muffins that I've been making for the kids. So you're going to start off by preheating your oven to 350 degrees. And then what you'll need for this are 3 ripe bananas, 2 eggs, half a cup of pitted dates, a 1/4 cup of chocolate chips, 1 teaspoon of baking soda, and then 2 cups of the rolled oats. So this is a super easy recipe, and I love that it's not super messy because you're doing practically everything here in the blender. This recipe came out of a different book, which I will also link down below. It's an organic toddler foods recipe book. So the first thing that I'm going to do is just take the 2 cups of the oats and just put them straight in the blender, and then I'm going to just blend them until they're kind of like a powder, so that way you don't have like that thicker oat texture. Riley definitely prefers these muffins to a couple others that we've tried where the oats just stay whole as they are. And I've just been sticking everything in my Ninja that I've had for 1,000 years. And then this is what they should look like when they're all done. It kind of looks like a powder. Now this is a totally optional step. You definitely don't have to do this, but this is something that I've been doing, just adding spinach to whatever muffins I'm making because Riley doesn't eat a lot of veggies. She's just not a fan. So this is a really quick and easy way to just add some extra veggies into your kids' diets. So whenever I make muffins, I try to add a little bit of spinach, and here I'm just going to chop it up because obviously I don't want like giant leaves of spinach in the muffin. So I'm just going to chop them up into tiny little pieces, and then I'll add that into the general mixture that I'm making in the other part of the blender. And then from there, the rest is super easy. All I'm going to do is add the other ingredients straight into the blender. So I'm adding the bananas, I'm adding the dates, some eggs, the baking soda, everything else that we had to work with. And I'm just putting them straight in here and then making it one giant mixture. So since I was making these primarily for Riley, I didn't mind adding the chocolate chips because she eats her muffins a lot better when there's chocolate chips. But if you wanted to make these for your baby and you didn't want them to have the extra sugar, then you can just skip this step and not put any chocolate chips in. And then I should have done this first, so I'm just taking out the middle part of the blender so that way it's easier for me to stir the chocolate chips in there. The recipe doesn't tell you to do this. The recipe just tells you to pour the batter like as it is without the chocolate chips into the little baking cups and then to top the muffins with the chocolate chips. But when I do that, I found that Riley just like picks off the chocolate chips from the top and then she doesn't want to eat the rest of the muffins. So that's why I add the chocolate chips into the mixture and stir them in. That way there's chocolate chips throughout the entire muffin. I also use mini muffin tins whenever I make muffins for the kids. I just find that Riley likes to eat them better when they're in smaller little bite-sized portions. So this will make about like 1 full sheet of the mini muffins and then a couple of the bigger muffins. I just don't like to waste the batter, so I'll make a few bigger muffins and then I'll just pop them right in the oven. The recipe says that they're usually done within 15 to 20 minutes, but for the mini muffins, I usually just leave them in there for about 10 minutes and then I check on them and then I'll leave the bigger ones in there for a couple extra minutes. And then that's what they look like when they're all done. I'll let them rest for a little bit. I'll let them cool down before I put them away in the refrigerator. And then the same as with the other recipes that I put in the fridge, I'll usually leave them in there for about 3 days. And usually they are gone by that time, because whenever I have a fresh batch of muffins, we give them to Riley for like breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Like we give them to her throughout the day for snacks. So muffins are definitely a hit in our house. All right, so this next recipe is seriously super easy. We're gonna make some cinnamon banana pancakes. For this one, all you need is 1 ripe banana, 1 egg, and then 1/8 of a teaspoon of ground cinnamon. And then really all you're gonna do is crack the egg in a bowl, just mix it around, beat the egg so that the yolk and the rest of the egg is nice and mixed. And then you're gonna take the banana and just mash it. I just used a fork because it's what I had, and I just figured it would be pretty easy to do this. So you're just gonna try to break down that banana, and the softer that the banana is, the easier it is to do this. And then once it was all mashed, I just added it to the egg, and then I go ahead and I add in some of the cinnamon, and then what I'm doing is just creating the batter that I'm gonna use to make the pancakes. So this was my first time making these, and I wasn't really sure like how many lumps there were supposed to be in the mixture. So for a while I kind of just mixed it to try to get rid of some of those lumps. But at the end of the day, like I made the pancakes with the lumps and they still tasted delicious. I tried them myself. They were super good. So don't be like too concerned if there's some lumps in them. And then once the batter was all done, I just went and started adding them to my skillet and just making some pancakes. The recipe says that you should probably cook them for like 3 minutes on one side and then another like 1 or 2 minutes on the other side. I just kind of eyeballed it. You don't want them to be like overcooked and super burned, but you also don't want them to be mushy. So just keep an eye on them and then make sure that you're flipping them from time to time. The recipe did say that it made 9 pancakes. I didn't really find that to be true. I think I made 7 pancakes and they were teeny tiny. So it's not like you're going to get a huge batch of pancakes when you use the 1 egg and the 1 banana. But if you wanted to make a bigger batch and then freeze them, you could always do that. And then this is what they look like when they were all done. What I did is I put them on a plate so that I could cut them up into little pieces, and then I just put them on Jackson's high chair and he tore these up. These are definitely one of his favorites. He could probably eat these every single day. And what I liked is that they were just so simple to make, like just 3 ingredients. And believe it or not, like a lot of pancake mixes that are out there on the market, like a lot of them have a lot of sugar and just other added ingredients. So this was a very simple and clean recipe, which I very much appreciated. So if it's something like this that's easy that I can make myself, that's what I do enjoy making for him. So then we'll wrap up this video by showing you guys how I made watermelon popsicles for the kids the other day. It was so easy. I bought this little popsicle mold on Amazon. I'll link it down below in the description box. But you can make other kind of popsicles with this mold. It doesn't just have to be watermelon popsicles. The time before I had made yogurt popsicles, and that works just as easily. You just add yogurt into the mold and then you freeze it, and like literally that's it. But this time around, I was a little hot outside. We were going to be outside playing with the kids, so I wanted to make some watermelon ones. And all I did was buy this watermelon at Target, and I just chopped it up and got some of the watermelon pieces out. And all I did was stick it in a blender, and then I poured it into the mold. Like there was nothing very fancy about that at all. This was straight up like my very first time even working with watermelon. I had never chopped a watermelon before in my entire life, and I had never blended it. So just fun fact, if you've never done it either, watermelon blends super easily. So I didn't even have to use my big ninja piece. Like I just used this little teeny tiny piece that I use sometimes for smoothies, and that blended in like 2.5 seconds. The one thing I will say about this popsicle mold is that you do have to be careful when you give your kids the popsicles, because the thing that holds a popsicle in place, like the thing that you hold on to, it does break apart into 2 pieces. So it could potentially be a choking hazard. So I only give this to the kids when I'm watching them. And with Jackson, like I hold it myself. I don't usually just let him hold it. But that is it. Once the mixture is in the mold, all you do is throw it in the freezer, and I leave it in there for maybe 3 or 4 hours. And then later on in the afternoon, I took it out, and then Riley and Jackson got to enjoy some popsicles. Alright guys, so I'm sitting down to edit this video and I realized that I didn't have an outro, so that's it for today's video. I hope that you guys enjoyed this. Let me know if you like these kind of recipe videos, food idea videos, because I'd be happy to make more of them if you find them to be helpful. I'm not the kind of person that normally like follows recipes, and this whole cooking thing, you guys know, has been a process for me, and I'm not the best in the kitchen, but I'm trying to learn. So I'd be happy to just share my experience as I go making new things for the kids with you guys. So yeah, just let me know what you guys think about it. That feedback is always super appreciated. But thank you so much for being here. Thank you for watching. I love you guys to pieces. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye guys.